and welcome to Metagame Mastery, where it's not just about what the card does, but how it impacts the game. Where the Spark preview season is finally almost over, and we are seeing still absolutely awesome cards. Narset is busted, the story's end is finally being revealed. If you enjoy this content, click that like button, make sure you're subscribed to get access to all our latest videos. Without further ado, big time! Go time! Let's go! Narset, Parter of Veils is 3 CMC, 1 colorless, 2 blue, for a legendary planeswalker with a starting loyalty of 5. Her static ability, each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. Full stop! We have the Leovold static ability on a card that is monocolored, same CMC, yet easier to cast, more difficult to remove, and the only thing that doesn't make this more busted than Leovold is the fact that it cannot be your commander. That said, this card is absolutely sick. It could see play in Legacy. It could bring that deck archetype to Modern. And she has a -2 ability. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So her card draw ability, she does have a card advantage ability. It's not as good as Leovold's, but she's modern legal. There's so much potential here for this to get absolutely nuts. Also, for the people who are advocating, well, you know, there's so many planeswalkers in this set, maybe we should make planeswalkers legal as commanders in EDH. This is a perfect example of why that will never work. Get her in play with Teferi's Puzzle Box, Anvil of Bogarden, any number of other cards out there, and you are able to card lock your opponents, especially once you start hitting those wheel effects. Narset's Reversal is 2 blue for an instant, copy target instant or sorcery spell, then return it to its owner's hand. You may choose new targets for the copy. So this is a fun card, being able to redirect in a remand sort of way. It will be particularly fun with cards like Isochron Scepter. Sarkhan's Catharsis is 5 CMC, 4 colorless, and a red for an instant. It deals 5 damage to target player or planeswalker. So this is Lava Axe at instant speed with no additional downside. I mean, Lava Axe was never supremely powerful, but it is a very solid finisher in Limited. So in that regard, this should be a fun card. Our boreal grazer is 1 green mana for a 0/3 beast with reach. When it enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand into the battlefield tapped. This is really good turn 1 ramp. This is going to be in the same standard as Land of War Elves. There's potential for this to really smooth out Steel Leaf Stompy, which, granted, has basically fallen out of favor in standard, but there's still so much you could do with these 2 cards that I imagine they're going to see a ton of play. That said, just being able to drop a 0/3 reach on turn 1 to help ramp out your planeswalkers in Limited and protect them from evasive attackers in the early game is a solid play. This is a very, very good card in Limited, in Standard, and in EDH, where you'll be able to pump out your 3-color 3-drops a lot faster. Cards like Animar, Soul of the Elements will love this. You can even put this in some budget variants of Derevi, Imperial Tactician. Even Eternal is 3 CMC, 2 colorless, and a blue for a 2/2 zombie bird warrior with flying. As it enters the battlefield, amass 1. So this is a great pickup in Limited. It's 3 power and toughness across 2 bodies for 3 mana, and you get some evasion in there. All in all, just a really solid card for its price. Callous Dismissal is 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and a blue for a sorcery. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, amass 1. So this one I like a little bit less. It's always good to see some removal, but the sorcery speed hurts a lot, even in limited. Charity Extractor is 4 CMC, 3 colorless, and a black for a 1/5 human knight with lifelink. This is a bad card. I don't care what format you're playing. This is a bad card. The only way this sees play outside chance is in some sort of Azan Toughness Matters deck like Doran the Siege Tower, and even then you have better options. Charm Stray is 1 white mana for a 1/1 cat with lifelink. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control named Charm Stray. So this card has the potential to get nuts in limited. You won't be able to see enough of these in standard, but in draft specifically, if you start snatching these up early, you can have a lot of these in a deck, and they can build up to be very big very quickly. Dread Malkin is 1 black mana for a 1/1 zombie cat with menace. You can pay 2 colors and a black, sacrifice another creature or planeswalker to put 2 +1/+1 counters on Dread Malkin. So I like everything about this card except for how much mana you have to put into its sacrifice ability. I think that alone is going to keep it from being relevant even in limited. Dusk Mantle Operative is 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and a black for a 2/2 human rogue. It can't be blocked by creatures with power 4 or greater. So it can be blocked by 3 drops or really weak 4 or 5 drops. That said, that's not much of an upside. This is a pretty weak bear for you to run. It's fine curve filler if you need it, but aside from that, I wouldn't play this card. Elite Guard Mage is 4 CMC, 2 colorless, a white and a blue for a 2/3 human wizard with flying. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life and draw a card. So this is a fine card in limited, obviously getting some evasion. It replaces itself. There's a little bit of upside with the life gain. Not that that's super important. And in Eternal formats, this is great option for you to flicker in case you need additional redundancy for, say, an EDH deck. Guild Globe is 2 colorless mana for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. You can pay 2 colorless mana, tap it, and sack it to add 2 mana of different colors to your mana pool. So this card is very efficient. It's very similar to Pentad Prism in the fact that you get the card draw upon entering the battlefield, and you get 1-for-1 mana filtering. Very solid. I could see this seeing play in Modern Eggs. I could see this seeing play in Pauper. This is a good card. Prismite is 2 colorless mana for a 2/1 artifact golem. You could pay 2 colorless mana to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. That's just really inefficient. And overall, this is a bad card in any format. Don't play it. Return to Nature is 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and a green for an instant. Choose 1. Destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment, or exile target card from a graveyard. So this is a strictly better Naturalize. It does the exact same thing as Naturalize, but it gives you another option for the exact same cost. This is a solid card. Thunder Drake is 4 CMC, 3 colorless, and a blue for a 2/3 elemental drake with flying. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Thunder Drake. This card sucks. Trusted Pegasus is 3 CMC, 2 colorless, and a blue for a 2/2 Pegasus with flying. Whenever it attacks, target attacking creature without flying gains flying until end of turn. So these jump creatures are always good in limited. They're a solid pickup. You're always going to get value out of them. They're always going to push damage. If you have the opportunity to get these and they're in your color, run them every single time. Tyrunt Scorn is 2 CMC, a blue and a black for an instant. Choose one. Destroy target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less, or return target creature to its owner's hand. So I like this in that it's in many ways a more versatile version of Smother. You have the Smother effect, granted it doesn't have the cannot be regenerated, not that that's really relevant in modern Magic. And if for whatever reason they have a 4-drop out and that's the threat you want to deal with, it's still a bounce play, forcing it back into their hand, costing them tempo. Either way, it's really solid removal in limited, could see play in standard even. Uggin's Conjurant is X for a 0/0 Spirit Monk that enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. If damage would be dealt to Uggin's Conjurant while it has a +1/+1 counter on it, prevent that much damage and remove that many +1/+1 counters from it. So this is the ultimate curve filler, but at the same time, it has a huge drawback in the fact that damage is permanent. That sucks. Wall of Runes is 1 blue mana for a 0/4 wall that when it enters the battlefield, you scry 1. So I like these cards in limited. These 1-drops with big butts plus upside allow you to control the board early, shutting down your opponent's attacker on turns 2, 3, sometimes even turns 4. And that gives you a lot of time to build up your own board state with minimal life loss. And on top of that, you can attack in freely without having to worry about the crackback because you're always going to negate your opponent's best attacker for the first few turns. The scry is a nice additional bonus, getting you a little bit of virtual card advantage. Also, if the Arcades standard deck ever actually happens, this could see play in it. Finale of Glory is X white for a sorcery. Create X 2/2 white soldier creature tokens with vigilance. If X is 10 or more, also create X 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance. So this card's sweet. It's going to be a little bit hard to get that much mana in, say, mono white decks, but Selesnya really loves this. So many tokens, so many ways to populate the board, and getting 10 4/4s is 40 damage when you attack in with them. That happens to be just exactly enough to kill an opponent in Commander. Solid choice. Finale of Devastation is X green for a sorcery. Search your library and or graveyard for a creature with converted mana cost X or less and put it onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. If X is 10 or more, creatures you control get +X and gain haste until end of turn. This card is bonkers. It's essentially a Green Sun Zenith stapled onto a Crater Hoof Behemoth. This card is going to kill so many people in Commander because like getting 12 mana in a green deck is really that difficult. Price of Betrayal is 1 black mana for a sorcery. Remove up to 5 counters from target artifact, creature, planeswalker, or opponent. Yes! Yes! Finally, I have a way to remove energy counters. It only came 2.5 years too late. Okay, in all seriousness though, in limited, this is going to be a solid card. It's 1 mana to nix an opponent's army early on, nix an opponent's planeswalker more often than not. That's good removal. In other formats, this is going to interact very well with cards like Thing in the Ice. And in EDH, this is a way for you to actually get rid of experience counters in decks like Marin of the Clan Neltoth or Azuri Claw of Progress. But what I really want to talk about is the flavor on this card. Obviously, you recognize this from the trailer, from War of the Spark, one of the hottest videos on all of YouTube. And read the flavor text. The moment Liliana defied Nicol Bolas, her contract was broken and her life was forfeit. But she was free to choose her fate, and she decided it was worth the price. Now take a look at Gideon's Sacrifice. It's 1 white mana for an instant. Choose a creature or planeswalker you control. All damage that would be dealt this turn to you and permanents you control is dealt to the chosen permanent instead. Fine combat trick, maybe forestall, losing the game for 1 turn, hopefully catch your opponent on the crackback. But look at the picture and flavor text. To Liliana's surprise, the cost of betraying Bolas did not fall on her. That's right. Gideon takes the bullet for Liliana. Huge story spoilers. That's frickin' sweet. Of course, we finally got a high resolution image of Gideon Blackblade. We've talked about this card ad nauseum over the last several weeks since it was first leaked. It's super good. Going to see a lot of standard play. Prison Realm is 3 CMC, 2 colorless and a white for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. When it enters the battlefield, you also scry 1. So this reminds me a lot of Thopter Arrest in Limited. It's a little bit more narrow Oblivion Ring. This time it hits creatures or planeswalkers, which is obviously very relevant in this format. And you get an additional scry compared to Thopter Arrest for the same cost. So this is going to be premium removal, just unconditional. That card I can target, it's gone. Very solid. In Constructed, there are better options. Cast Out, you can cast at instant speed. So it's not particularly relevant there. But what I really want to focus on is the flavor of this card. Look at the picture. Look at the flavor text. After millennia to craft victory, Bolas had eternity to contemplate defeat. So a lot of people have been speculating that the Triumph cycle for the Gatewatch has indicated that the Gatewatch will indeed defeat Bolas. This basically confirms that. If you recall the blue finale card, the flavor text said that Ugin thought the key to defeating Nicol Bolas was the jewel that connected him to his meditation realm. It looks like he's right in the end, and Nicol Bolas will be trapped in said realm. And once again, not a permanent and lasting victory. They've simply trapped a big bad to somehow return at a later date. Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this content, click that subscribe button so you get access to all our latest videos. This has been Metagame Mastery. Peace!